Welcome to Access Moneynomics by Access Mutual Fund.
The 20s, definitely the best time of our lives. You start your career and get your very first job, your very first salary, and a time for many such firsts. Our 20s are clearly meant to explore, make mistakes, and learn without a care in the world. But imagine, when you plan to enjoy the finer things in life with your own money and hear things like, I hope you've begun saving, or have you started investing yet? But why? You're still in your 20s. There's a lot of time to save and invest, right? So what's the big hurry? We hear you, Gen Zs, but there may be a legit reason behind the apparent nagging. To clear the air around this, we invite Shikha Vagheria, our guest for this episode. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Access Moneynomics. This is your host and money mentor Rashmi from Access Mutual Fund. In this episode, we are going to have with us Shikha Vagheria, a senior product manager from Access Mutual Fund who has a total experience of 8 years in this industry. Shikha and I will be discussing all about why investing in your 20s may not be a bad idea after all. But before we start, may I ask you to add this podcast to your playlist? You are not alone. Nearly 64% young Indians are hesitant to invest. Don't worry, we have Shikha with us today who's going to help us answer so many of our questions. Hi Shikha, and a very warm welcome to Access Moneynomics. First of all, thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you, Rashmi. It's my pleasure to be part of this podcast.
Thank you, Shikha. But just for our audience, could you give us a quick brief of what you do as a product manager at Access Mutual Fund? What is your role?
So as simple as said that I'm a product manager, it means I own the product, right? So from everything, from end to end, what a product needs, let's say, for example, what the current market situations are, what are the scenarios, and what will it impact on fund, on different products, actually, not just our fund, but how it will impact different products across the market. And then any new launches which is required based on the market scenarios, any changes needed in the product, everything it comes under my responsibility here.
Great, that's quite a lot to do. And let's ask our first question, guys, to Shikha, that what's the big deal about investing in your 20s anyway?
Well, we are just when we're just starting out. So I remember when I first joined my job, I was like 22 years old that time. So if most of the people start during at that time, it's very overwhelming even to think about managing our own money and how do we spend it. And then we face these taxation issues, then balancing our needs and wants. So that's a lot of things to do that time. But definitely something that don't cross our mind that time is that either to save or invest, right? We don't think about it. But there are people, our close ones, who keep on telling us that we shouldn't start investing. And they're right to an extent, right? There's no harm in entertaining that thought and dig deeper that what should we do with that money.
Right, absolutely. And specifically in your 20s, you're in that mind frame of spending and splurging because you just started out. So you have your first money in your hand and you want to spend on a lot of things. But just wanted to ask, why is it necessary to manage money so early? But you've just started enjoying the sweet fruit of our labor, right?
So, well, there are many reasons for it. One, we always have dreamt of having money and buying the stuff we want, that be it our favorite phone or be it our dream vacations, or someone might want to save it for our higher education. Along with that, I think what we all should think, irrespective of what age or cycle are we in our life, we need to save for big medical expenses or any emergency expenses. So Why not start saving for it at a very early age? And because ultimately when we earn money, we are supposed to be feel secure about it.
Right. I get your point about savings. Like, okay, I want to buy an iPhone, I want to save money for it and then go buy it. Saving is important, right? But why invest and why so early in the first place?
Very right question. So all of us, when we look at the market, look at the newspaper, we all have been talking and hearing about the inflation, right? And suppose you want to buy a car, and that car will come up with a new model in some time, and the price is going to be higher. Our favorite restaurants and places are getting costlier. Our day-to-day things, the things we want to buy, groceries, our accessories, everything is getting expensive. Now, when you want to buy, with this economic growing, the prices will increase, right? And if you save, you won't be able to meet up that increment in price. What one needs is to invest so that they beat up this inflation, or they at least catch up with the inflation, so their money don't degrow. Actually, their money grow with the time. That's the idea of investing.
Right. So we invest to make our money grow. So mainly you want your savings to grow over time rather than get eroded in value. So what I am spending for right now today, say for example, I'm buying something for 100 rupees today. Tomorrow I will have to spend more than 100 to buy the same thing. That's what it means by eroding of value, right? So, but it's really tough to shell out money separately for investing also. So how would you do it?
Investing doesn't have to involve a huge amount. Anyone can invest with as little as $500 or $1,000, and depending on how much they want to invest. What matters is the discipline in investing. So let's say that what's been told is that time is your friend and impulse is your enemy. So for how much to invest, simply use an investment calculator, like you can find a SIP calculator or something, just Google it. So like you're targeting to buy a car down the line 5 years. The difference is if you invest it now versus if you invest, like say 2 years before that, there'll be huge difference in that. So there's compounding works like a magic there. The earlier you invest, the more benefit you will get out of it.
Right. Shikha, you mentioned about some SIP calculator. I'm sure that you can find these calculators online and people can directly punch in their numbers of how much they want to have at what period of time.
One can either Google it or simply go to accessmf.com and you can find a lot of calculators. You can pick and choose as per requirement. So like you said, you can go to SIP calculator and do this calculation yourself and understand how much you should want to invest and how long you should be investing for it.
Okay, so that means if I want to buy a car after like say 3 years and if the car costs say 25 lakhs, so how much should I be starting to invest from today is what the calculator will throw. That's great. Yes. I get it.
You guys should actually go and check that what difference it makes to invest early and if you start investing later for your goal. So that difference can be clearly seen using that calculator.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that difference makes a lot of difference. So got it, Shikha. But before I let you go, I have one last question for you. How should young people start investing? How should our young Gen Zs start investing?
I think a very good and important question. I would say, Gen Z is very smart. Okay, so maybe they can try by doing your own research about different options available in investing. Okay, because everyone risk appetite, everyone requirements are very different. So one can look from a traditional deposits to emergency funds to stock market, mutual fund, varieties of options. Definitely choose what suits your tenure, your risk appetite, and then of course you can always explore more in the mutual fund segment wherein you get varieties of option.
Interesting. Actually thinking about money and trying to plan it as per what your needs are, what your wants are, what your desires are, I think it makes sense. And it will also put in a thought that I think investing early makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for enlightening us and simplifying these complex financial things for all of our audience. But we definitely look forward to having you again with us. Thank you so much, Shikha.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much again. So folks, I hope you're convinced that it's never too early to invest. So let's quickly summarize what we learned and with what we talked about today. First things first, savings and investing are essential to protect us on rainy days. Investing doesn't have to be a big amount. You can start small, but more important is you have to be regular. Consistency matters. And the more time you give your investments to grow, the better it is. So it makes sense to start early. All right then, that's all for today. Thanks for listening. And yes, we will be covering many more topics like this. So you know what to do. Subscribe to our channel and playlist our podcast, Access Moneynomics, so you don't miss any of our money talks. And of course, also share it with anyone you think will benefit from our talks. Until then, this is your host Rashmi signing off. You just listened to Access Moneynomics by Axis Mutual Fund.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.